Hello, everyone. Welcome to Skylands Session 0. It is not, in fact, Myths and Matchmakers anymore. That campaign is done. Those people, they're retired. They're happy. Somewhere, I am getting my own audio, and it is...
Yeah, there's definitely some...
That was me.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Thank you for catching it, as it was making my brain shut off. So... today we will be doing
Myths and character makers.
Yeah. Session 0. We're going to be making new characters. We're going to be setting up a whole new campaign. So there's a lot of real basic stuff that we're going to cover today. We probably won't get done making characters today, but if we do, then awesome. I'm fully prepared to not. We are also raising money for RAIN, which is a charity that helps victims of sexual violence. It offers counseling services, all sorts of amazing work that they do. We're raising some money for them on Tiltify. The link should be in chat. And we are part of a group that is streaming on the Onyx Path Twitch channel throughout the week to do that. Also, this begins our official on the schedule hosting over on the Onyx Path Twitch. So if you're watching over the Onyx Path Twitch channel, hi. You won't see me post links in chat because I'm posting them in the Plastic Age Plays chat, but you're welcome to hop over here and say hello as well. Or you can just hit !RAIN over in that chat, and I'm pretty sure it'll show up there too. So since we're not actually rolling any dice, what I'm going to do today is if for the $5 give a player a bonus die or advantage or anything along those lines. Instead, you will give them 1 extra hit point at character creation. If you donate $15, you will give the whole party an extra hit point at character creation.
Can we donate for ourselves?
I'm not going to stop
$100,
you.
I don't want to die.
But if you donate for me, I will just bank that advantage to randomly drop on them for no good reason throughout the course of the campaign.
No!
I still have advantage from last time we played. I never had to use mine.
Wow. So what I will do then, just to dive into it, first things first, okay, so what we're going to do to start a new campaign, we are in Astral, our lovely sponsors, and I'm going to take all of our characters from our previous campaign, rather than having to build a whole new setup in Astral and build things out from the very beginning. I'm just going to bring us all over to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby.
I was thinking it.
I don't have a lobby anymore because I deleted the lobby, so I'm going to bring us all to instead... this little quiet little mountain dining room where you all had a nice conversation one time, and planned your heist that nearly got Tort killed. And we're gonna bring everyone in here and pop everybody's character over here. Boop, bang, there you go. And then we're gonna have you all hop out.
Ooh, bang, hop out.
Yep. Well, no, you'll stay in Astral. You'll probably have to hop out at some point, but I'm going to one by one build you new tokens. But while I am one by one building you new tokens, there are a couple of Session 0 items I would like to discuss. So first of all, I find it important when we're doing a Session 0 to talk about what sort of safety tools we're going to use. Generally speaking, in the past, we have used... just an X card, and if everyone is fine with continuing with that, I'm fine with it as well. I don't foresee that we will need anything more robust than that.
I don't even know what that means.
So. Oh, well, that's because you didn't pay attention when I explained it last time. But in case somebody hasn't, the way the X card works is that in the event that there is a item, a story element that is upsetting, triggering, that you just don't want to cope with, you can either hold up an X with your hands or hold up a card that has an X on it. And I prefer it to be something on camera so that I catch it, because I don't always catch what's going on in the chat. And then we will pump the brakes on that story element and basically remove whatever the problematic content is so that it is no longer an issue for you. That's the basics of the X card. Generally speaking, I find that it works out okay for me. But there are a few elements of the Skylands setting in general and of the story I have in mind in particular that I would like to think about maybe working in a little bit of lines and veils type safety tools with, which are lines are elements that we just flat out do not depict during the stream, and veils are elements that we can allude to, but they take place off camera. So just for safety's sake, I guess the thing I wanted to discuss was I'm thinking about setting this campaign, if no one has any objections to it, in the nation of Zathisk, which is under the control of the Calastian hegemony, but they frequently rebel. They don't very much care for Virduk because he's a Nazi prick. So we may wind up, as a result of that, the most commonly worshipped deities in that nation are either Chardoon, worshipped largely by those who
like Nazism,
right, are pro-Calastian, and then Keely, who is worshipped by those who generally are anti-Calastian. That's a very broad brush I'm painting that with, but that's the basics. So I wanted to touch base with you and see what you thought about lines and veils regarding specifically the slavery economy in Calastia and the various elements that come along with that. Don't everybody talk at once.
We did.
I'm fine with anything that doesn't make anybody else uncomfortable. So that's as far as I'm going to go. Like, I think it's something that's very socially important. Again, now, if you're in the States, a lot of that social commentary is kind of healthy to explore in a way. But it's also really shit that it even has to be explored and shown. So, because somehow some people think that some of that shit's okay still. So
I'm fine with it as long as the Chardonites are the bad guys and we're all fighting the bad guys and we are not the bad guys.
Yeah, that.
I mean that's fair. I think it's safe to say that while an individual who either is part of the Calastian structure or worships Chardoon or whatever is capable of being redeemed, part of that redemption would be casting aside their faith in Chardoon and not being a slaver and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's the thing there.
Which is interesting too, because me personally, that opens up a whole quest line about forgiveness and shit like that, and how to explore that, and
right,
yada yada yada. So
Chaz, what are your thoughts?
This doesn't really bother me at all. Like I like exploring, like Trick said, the narrative implications of this type of stuff. Specifically because there are people who have similar lived experiences. And so I find it fun to explore it in this type of setting with trusted people.
Cool. And again, all of the stuff, your X cards, things along those lines apply, right? If we're getting too real in any way, shape, or form, that's what the X card's for. The other thing that
Or starting up bullshit.
Right. The other thing that I want to make clear 100% out the gate is that the Charduni slavery in general and Calastian slavery in particular is a function of there's not a racial component to it. Calastians are human supremacists, absolutely, and that's where they're sort of an allegory for your big bad Nazi bad guys. So I look forward to the opportunity to punch lots of Calastians in the face, but I just wanted to make sure that everybody was comfortable with exploring a story that has that kind of a backdrop to it.
Yeah, there's no one race. Jeremy just stepped out, but Jeremy and I actually talked about both Calastia 2 sessions ago in Lorino, and then last session we talked about Shelzar, which included the history of Zathiski, however you say it. So we literally just covered
so that's what we're
I can't say that either. Zathisk.
Zatisk.
There you go.
So we just finished talking about this stuff, so that's cool. And yeah, one of the things we unraveled with that was that the Calastians don't enslave a specific race or species or ethnicity or anything like that. It's just like, you were a prisoner of war. Guess what? You get to clean my kitchen now, or whatever it is.
It's who can you subjugate?
Yeah.
Which again, they're not nice people.
Oh no.
But to that end, obviously they'll be amongst the bad guys that we are fighting. So I just wanted to see kind of what everybody's thoughts were on that. Fran, do you have any particular above and beyond what we've discussed?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, no, I don't think so.
Cool.
Thank you for asking.
Yeah, for sure. We'll ask Jeremy when he gets back and give him an opportunity to voice any sort of concerns or opinions at that point. But in the interim, while we're waiting on that, are there any other safety tools that any of you would like to bring to the table? And are there any no-go areas that you would like to just sort of drop as like, this is my hard limit, we're not going to cover this topic, or this should not happen during the stream?
I have a pretty hard no-go area in sexual violence anyway.
Okay, yeah, and that's a general channel rule here.
Yeah, it's a TOS rule probably too on Twitch.
But yeah, it's never a bad thing to voice.
Yeah.
So I am 100% for no sexual violence being depicted during the course of the events that you will witness here.
And the bright side is Chardoon has a hard line against sexual violence.
Right.
Belsmith has a hard line. Mangle.
Vangle? I don't know if Vangle has a hard line. All the rest of the gods.
All of them do.
There's actually in Yugman's Guide to Gelspad Part 4, which will be out this Wednesday, there's a discussion about how all of the gods, given the background of some of the reasons that the Titans War happened, all of the gods have a very hard position on this, which is it's punishable by death if you're very, 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 very lucky.
Yeah.
Castration, possibly.
They don't.
At minimum.
They don't cotton to that. It's a big no-no. It's considered blasphemous by all of the religions. So yeah, I have no objection to keeping that off of the table. Okay. Any other any hard limits for you, Trick, apart from the aforementioned?
Not that I can think of, but I'm super new, so
Right
if something weird happens, I'll tell you.
Right. You always have that X card, and don't be afraid either to just say just to speak up too. The X card is so that it is partially designed so
be
people
afraid of talking.
Right.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean everyone. The X card is designed so that you don't have to give voice to what it is that's bothering you necessarily, but you can also always just tell me, hey, this is not cool, let's skip this or whatever. and that's totally fine. I want everybody to be comfortable and have fun. People have more fun when they are more comfortable. It's really that simple. No reason to make it more complex than that. Ailey, is there anything that we have not yet discussed that you would say is a hard limit for you?
I'm good.
All right, cool. Sarah, anything that we haven't discussed that you would say is a
Yeah,
hard limit?
it actually just happened to me 2 days ago. So I'm realizing more and more this is a thing I really hate in gaming, is when your character loses what's the term? I got dominated in a game. Agency, yeah. I got dominated in a game. I was forced to do something that was just sucked. It wasn't that bad, but I don't mind little things like being hit with a confusion spell for a combat. That's fine. But to lose all agency for a long moment for dramatic purposes where you betray your party,
Okay.
you don't want to as a player, to me, is the ultimate sucks.
Okay.
Because you invest a lot in this, and then suddenly you're like, oh, and I have to go back. It's finding confusion spell where like you hit somebody for a round, and you're like, oh, okay. In the next round you're gabbering. Everybody
Right.
understands magic, but when a vampire is making you backstab your whole party, that sucks to me as the biggest no. And I don't like PvP, and I particularly don't like losing agency and being forced to PvP.
Okay. Cool.
So-
Duly noted. So yeah, we will reduce our loss of agency to like one-off effects. And what are your thoughts on like charm spells, things along those
They're
lines?
fine as long as they're like the minimal, like, oh, I really love this NPC for like, that's fine. It's just when you're forced to really double cross your party that it gets to me. It's fine if it's like you attack them for a round, or you fuck with them, or you briefly have a fascination with an NPC and you're out of the combat for a few rounds. In combat, it's okay with me. It's out of combat where it's a broader sense.
Where it becomes a story impacting kind of a thing?
Exactly. Yeah.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
It does. Makes absolute sense. Yeah.
And one of my GMs does this to our party all the time, and it's finally gotten to me. It's just happened.
Well, and again, this is also, I mean, obviously it's something that I will I will watch and be aware of, but it's also in the event that something feels like it's going too far in that direction, by all means, feel free to speak up and say so.
Thank you.
That's what we're here to have fun. Is there anyone who's currently sitting with us that I missed?
Francis?
Nope.
I asked
I'm covered.
you.
Yep. I'm good.
Cool. All right. That's all the... and I'll catch up with Jeremy when he returns. Hopefully nothing has caught fire over at his apartment. Or if it did, I hope it at least did so in an amusing way.
That's good.
Having said that, then, what I would like to do, and this... part of the reason I wanted to cover all of that, including the location of the campaign before we got into our character creation, is because I'd like to discuss, where we're going to be set, what's going to be going on. To my mind, the best first level experiences generally happen in smaller settlements, out in the wilds, kind of away from the hustle and the bustle a little bit, with characters who are maybe not quite so experienced. Also, I'm running an urban campaign on Wednesdays, so I would like to very much not start off there here. So I'm thinking we're going to start off in like kind of a small village in Zathis. That does not mean that's where you all have to be from. In fact, probably most of you won't be from there. But I wanted to make sure that everybody's kind of cool with that sort of a starting point. And the idea being that your characters have some sort of previous reason for being together. Now, that previous reason for being together could literally have been established the night before we start. Maybe you're all running from the same military patrol. Maybe you're all You all came together. Maybe you all met in an inn, just not on camera. So let's figure out. I would like to take some time and kind of figure out what the glue is that binds your group together. And I'd like to try to create our characters with that in mind from that perspective, so that way everybody, we're all playing together and we're all having fun, and it's a good time. And we don't have to spend too much narrative time establishing the basic reasons why you're all going to go do some stuff together. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I certainly absolutely want to be able to focus on the building of your relationships and how you become close, but I don't want to focus on why the hell am I going on this adventure with this guy? That's just...
So the question everybody was asking about Bifruins the
exactly.
entire last...
Right. I would like to avoid that very thing.
Can we kill him yet? I don't know. He's not actually done it. Oh, shit. Now he's doing nice stuff.
Right. So I'd like to have some basic, at least, reasons why you're all kind of hanging out. So that's something that we can sort of construct as we're building our characters if you want to. That's fine. Any objections to that particular philosophy or approach?
No problem. I think it's fun.
Makes life easy.
Okay, cool. So I think we have our basic bases covered. I know a couple of you had come in with concepts in mind. Now, one thing I would like to just point out is that Zatheisk, partially due to the fact of its history of sort of perpetual resistance against the Calastians, does tend to have a pretty cosmopolitan population. So I am fine with basically any playable race, basically any class. We will be beginning this campaign out at first level. So I would like you to at least have a basic idea of maybe where you would like to go in terms of subclass. What direction you would like to try to level up toward. So I guess I know you had mentioned having a couple of concepts floating around, Sarah. So let's start with you.
I was thinking, I've been going through the player handbook and trying to play every class, and I've got 4 left.
Gotcha. Okay.
So and they're all at the beginning of the alphabet. So I was thinking Druid, because I've run incarnates. I've never gotten to play one.
Okay.
And I thought it would be fun to play an incarnate character, and also that would let me kind of flex a little bit of my I know a bunch of random crap about the campaign setting, because an incarnate would eventually know a bunch of stuff as they get their memories back, so that could be an explanation for that.
Okay, cool.
And I haven't decided on this first set yet, but I've been working on a book for the Vault, which is now currently waiting on art, which introduces how to play the various broods for the Slytherin.
Okay.
God.
So I'm debating this. I haven't decided on this yet. I want to hear what everyone else is playing first before I cement anything on this line, but maybe playing one of those broods that's a little bit more unusual. Not
a little bit more.
Super. I'm probably not going to play the Stricken. The Stricken's just too weird. I want to play one someday, but in a one shot, not in a campaign. They have they're creepy. But maybe something more something that would fit a druid. So I don't know yet, but
okay.
I'm thinking Slytherin, but not necessarily, and mostly because I kind of want to play test some of these offshoots, but I would need your review of what I've done with them.
Yeah, sure. We can take a look at
but
them.
I want to hear what everyone else is playing first before I settle on a race.
All right, and Jeremy has returned. So is everything all right over on your end of the universe, Jeremy?
Yes, we had a sudden and rapid running down the stairs for the dog to get sick.
Oh.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
Are they okay?
I was going to say probably a dog event.
All right.
Yeah.
We have gotten rid of the stuff that had to get rid of, and now we're napping. So
Gotcha. Okay, so just to cover kind of what we discussed in terms of safety tools, lines and veils, things like that. Obviously, slavery and those who participate in it are bad people. There's not going to be any sexual violence depicted on the stream, and we're going to steer away from any sort of long-term player agency loss, basically outside of combat. You know what I mean? So like,
Gotcha.
no, like taking you over and making you into a Manchurian candidate or something like that. So were there any additional lines, veils, safety tools, concerns that you wanted to bring up?
No, I think that's pretty much my options as well. So.
Okay, cool. So then, the next thing was we were just discussing character concepts. Sarah said she has a few. We are going to be set in Zathisk, so pretty much any playable race, any playable class is pretty well open. So did you have anything particular in mind that you wanted to try out?
Myself?
Mm-hmm.
Chaz and I were discussing this before the stream, and we have an option, if it's cool with everyone else, about playing, although we haven't really decided what our connection is, whether we're siblings or cousins or something.
Some kind of
familial.
Okay.
Right. But we were talking about playing the Sudorenya, which are in Scarred races. It's the Tatsuri from Dragonlands, but the ones who were left behind, the ones who aren't from the Dragonlands, but were left behind when the dragons were like, we're out, bye.
Okay. Those in Gelsbad. Wow.
There are two, apparently.
It's kind of like gnomes.
Yeah.
Well, they do exist, but
we're still here. We missed the boat.
I introduced a halfling who was a descendant of halflings from the Dragonlands.
Nice.
In Vigilance, so...
He claimed. He's also a lying sack of craps.
He's a lying sack of craps.
Well, and Chaz and I had talked about this a little bit on Facebook yesterday about some possible options if you wanted to go with the Dragonland species. I have no objection to you playing that race. That's fine. The other option that I had brought up was you could be either like orphaned or brought in like like shipwrecked or so either or
mishap.
Abandoned or the idea being that like you've been here since you were little and you don't have a connection to your homeland
at all.
And I think that would be easier to manage from the sake of like literally being easier to manage.
Like the dragons went back home 200 years ago,
something like that.
More than that. So
a little more than that. Yeah.
Leaving behind any of these people, it's very easy for them to have had kids and just raise them here at this point. So
I mean, as long as there's no like what I'd like to avoid is there's going to be enough like foreigner in a foreign land in this campaign. I don't want to complicate that by adding in. At the end of the day, I do want it to remain Gelsbad focused. That's my only real, I guess.
In fact, it totally makes sense for them to even have been like born or at least raised in Zathisk somewhere, or even like Rahok, that city state. So like, they're not normal looking people, but I think like those areas would probably be okay. Not necessarily Calastia. They probably haven't been there to Calastia, but.
Right. No, I am fine with that as long as nobody has any real objection to it. That's totally cool. Like I said, I looked at the setup, and that's in Scarred Races. It's available on Salvation Vault. I looked at the setup mechanically. They're fine. So, let's do it. So you're thinking like you're like brothers, cousins,
some kind of like familiar, like we grew up together.
I would, I mean, I would, as long as I would prefer it just to be like a close familiar relationship. Sure. A, because that's easy, and B, you know each other, as opposed to like, oh, you're my fourth cousin. We just met last week at a family reunion where everyone got killed by mob hitmen, and now we wear skull T-shirts and hunt them down. I'd rather it be a little bit more Sam and Dean Winchester and a little bit less like,
Sure. Although they bitch at each other a lot.
I mean, you can bitch at each other a lot. That's fine. Only in the first 15 seasons.
13.
Yeah, they just stopped lying. Exactly.
They stopped
Why do you
lying.
always lie?
It's season 13 or 14.
It took them 13 years.
Mostly.
Mostly.
My only other request is that you come up with some sort of vaguely draconic sounding play on the word Winchester for a part of your name. Beautiful.
Oh my goodness.
Fran,
I'm a giant Supernatural fan nerd.
Oh yes, I'm 3 or 4 seasons behind, but that I'll binge that in a week, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Subject for another stream.
Right, absolutely.
Well, you got to get to the point where they stop lying to each other.
Spoilers. So Fran, do you have any concepts, ideas? Before I jump to Fran, sorry. Classes. Jeremy, Chaz, do you have class ideas?
Yeah.
Did you have...
So I was thinking to recreate the character I made for the one shot we did like last summer when Bia was on vacation, where I was the fighter who was like, I'm a wizard, I cast Slash, the sword is my focus.
Right.
And then end up into the Ghost Legionnaire or Spirit Legionnaire, or like the name needs to change because it's too close to Howl Legionnaire.
Right.
Okay. I have no problem with that. Somebody who believes that they're pursuing like a mystical art of the blade type of thing.
Yeah, but like they're doing it just like a fighter would. It just looks different to them.
A fighter with wizard abilities or a wizard with fighter?
No, like literally just a fighter. But like
who thinks they have magic?
It's not a weapon. Like it's a focus. He's not like hitting you with the sword. He's casting Slash. That does exactly what happened.
It was really circumstantial. Like you'd have to be there to understand what he's talking
about. I
can get spells at 3rd level if you go that
well, my question is
just a fighter. All right.
Do they become a spellbow eventually?
Nope.
Just a crazy fighter.
Just a fighter.
Yeah, just a fighter who has a odd understanding of martial arts.
Yeah.
But no, that's I'm totally fine with that. Did you have a class in mind, Jeremy?
So I'm leaning towards rogue unless we have like 7 rogues in the group, and then I will find something else.
Okay. Did you have a subclass in mind that you would like to pursue?
I have not gone that far yet.
Okay.
I also want to look at the Skylands subclasses and see if I can keep it close to home. So I'm not sure.
Cool. I dig it. Now, Fran, sorry, I didn't mean to jump to you and then jump back.
Well, as a general rule, I deal pretty well with having restrictions put on my choices, which I know sounds weird, but haiku mistress. So I do have an idea, which is a vigil stalker who's literally been sent down here to foment rebellion.
Okay.
But that's an idea, and that would be taking up a rogue slot from somebody else who might want one.
Very different kind of rogue, though. I mean, that's
very true. Yeah,
that's a very specific sort of...
I don't know anything about what happened to that guy. But so I have that one idea, but I'm perfectly happy if we find that we have a gap in the party, like there's no arcane utility caster, I'm perfectly happy stepping into that position too.
Well, I do love the idea of having a halfling in the party, just so that we can explore and examine the vast difference between halflings in the Skylands and lots of other settings. Not quite so happy-go-lucky in the Skylands.
And they're not kinder.
They're almost anti-kinder. Almost.
Yeah. I thought about doing a Calastian stalker halfling who's gotten discontented and is out to gut their former bosses, but
a vigil stalker would make sense because at level 1.
Either one of those could work.
Vigil stalker is just an archetype, huh? So At first level, you're a rogue with ideas.
Yeah, it's an archetype, but it's an archetype that requires training with the vigilance. So,
well, I mean, if Luke Skywalker can figure out how to be a Jedi without anybody around, I'm sure you can figure out how to be a vigilant.
I guess. Anyway, you're the jam. You're the jam.
They can train themselves. The Jedi do it all the time. All right, so I'm totally fine with those choices. I have no objection to any of those.
Yeah.
Did you have any ideas, concepts, Ailey, thoughts, things you'd like to try out?
Ailey thoughts.
There's so many options. I'm having decision paralysis. So, okay, when you say any playable race, I'm assuming this doesn't include Ravnica, Theros, Eberron.
I'd like to stay away from any of the WotC specific races. Yeah.
Okay. Does that include Aasimar? I don't
know.
Aasimar are not Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering type shit.
Yeah, those are Aasimar and Tieflings are both present. I do have some alternate rules that I created for them that are tied to the plains of Scarred Lands that I could shoot your direction.
Yeah, that's neat.
And then that way you could be, because they're each one of them is more directly related to the cosmology, as opposed to where Aasimar and Tiefling in 5e are Aasimar are a Celestial's kid and Tieflings are either a demon, they're a Fiend's kid. These are your parentage comes from one of the specific planes. So I can send you those if you would like to take a look at those.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Do you know the Scarred Land specific races as well? Have you looked at those? Just to be complete.
Yeah, I've kind of browsed through all of the things.
Okay. Because there's 6 more that aren't in.
Oh, they aren't in the book, you mean?
No, that are in the Scarred Lands book that aren't in the PHB. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I have looked at this list in the character builder.
Oh, okay.
They're not in the character.
I'm trying to think of what wouldn't be in the character builder. I think I finally got everything in there. There's the Asathi, the Ironbred, Manticora, Slytherin. Who am I forgetting?
Orcs, full orcs.
Orcs, yeah, but orcs are in there.
Hollow Legionnaires.
Right, obviously.
That's something I played last game.
Ironbred.
I mentioned Ironbred, they're in there. I think everything's in there. There are variants of the sort of core races that might not be in the builder yet.
The Hollow Legionnaires under Spire.
Right, I don't think I put Charduni in there yet. But I'm digging that out real quick. But while I'm digging that out, did you have a class that you would like to look at? Or are you going to think about what sort of plane you would like to be attached to first?
Yeah, I want to kind of get the background of my character origins first, and then I'll go from there.
Cool. While I'm digging that up, Trick, do you have ideas?
I have lots of ideas.
Do you have any good ones that are worth?
I guess that's the eye of the beholder, I suppose. Well, we talked previously about a Triton or a Scrag, and I'm leaning towards the Scrag, but I don't have any of its stats or anything to get more off of it. And I had an idea for either a sorcerer or a warlock for the Scrag. Or Triton, depending. And I have some ideas on why and origin and all that stuff, but I'm very much so somebody who needs to see the stats and where I can go with it before I can really make any concrete decisions.
Sure. And I can, would it help if I read you off the Scrag stats? Because I can get them up real quick here.
Yeah. Did you just send something in the Zoom?
Yeah, that's the Tiefling stuff that I did for.
Okay.
For the.
I mean, sure. I'll try and take some notes.
Actually, I can copy them and paste them in the chat. Hold on. But while I'm doing that, if you go into the Zoom chat, Ailey, there's the thing I wrote up on the Plane Touched. The term that we're using for them is tiefling. Owing to the original use of tiefling in Planescape was just anyone who had planar parentage. So technically Genasi were tiefling too. Give me a second here to dig through this. While I'm digging through that, Sarah, hearing all this, does that affect your thoughts, ideas at all?
I'm still leaning towards Slytherin Apothecary, mostly because that gives me the wisdom bonus.
Okay.
Which would be like a herbalist, but like obsessed with coming up with the perfect potion. And that is my raison d'etre.
My first character ever is very similar to what you're describing right now.
An obsessed druid. So I'm thinking about that. I'm not sure if it fits with this group yet, but we're also lacking in anything resembling standard divine races other than one halfling. But that's standard as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's not unusual.
No, not really. Being humans is honestly boring. Yeah,
I've been a human my whole life. I don't feel like role playing one.
Exactly. So I think I'd either do that or I could go with elf, I guess. But I'm kind of leaning.
Well, I don't want anybody to feel like they have to, by any stretch of the imagination, play a standard a divine race. That's not remotely required.
Potentially open some doors, but maybe not in the game.
I mean, your life will, I'm certain, be a little bit more difficult if you don't have a member of a divine race rolling around with you. But if Fran's playing a halfling, that does open a lot of doors for you.
Well, I was thinking about playing an orc actually, but depending. If vigilant, then orc. If halfling stalker, then obviously halfling. Actually, I'd love to play an orc halfling stalker. Is like, what? I was adopted. Right. Shut up.
Well, and to get my comic book guy voice on, canonically, the halfling stalker, they're teaching people outside of the halfling race how to use their abilities.
Yeah. See, I really want to see an orc halfling marriage, like the child of that.
You could play a half orc,
like a half orc.
I just hope the orc is the mom.
You can absolutely, play I had a buddy of mine in high school who was like 7'3" both ways, and his girlfriend was like 4'8".
Yep.
But you could absolutely play a half orc halfling if you wanted to. Mm-hmm. There's rules for that provided in they will be arriving in the next installment, I think, of Youngins. By next, I mean 5, not this Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Maybe 6. One of these days, I will actually look at the release schedule before I open my Yap. Half Elf is out.
Oh, Half Elf is out. Okay.
I think Half Elf is in Player's Guide to Yugman.
Oh, but it's
whatever. Elspeth. Yeah. Player's Guide to Yugman, yes.
It's in Yugman's Guide Part 1, actually.
Just one word probably does
need a guide, to be honest.
Yeah.
How does Yugman work? We don't really know.
I know how he worked in 3rd edition. I don't know about 5th edition.
Hang on to your ass, kids.
We make things up as we need them. That's how Yugman works by storyteller fiat. Either one of those is good. It's really up to you. Were you able to get that open, by the way, Haley?
Yeah, I'm reading through it.
You were able to find the things I was talking about?
Yeah.
All right, so I'll pop this little bit in the chat here for you there, Trick. Maybe. Maybe not. We'll see. Wants to behave itself? I guess not. Give me half a second. There you go, trade. So there and there. So you can look at the scrag and see what that's all about.
And I will.
And whilst everyone is doing all this fun reading, I will again remind you that we are raising money for RAIN today. And if you go and donate to the RAIN benefit, you can donate $5, and that will get a player of your choice will get a benefit. And that benefit, because we're doing character creation, will be starting with 1 additional hit point. If you donate at the $15 level, the entire party will start with an additional hit point. And if you donate at the $25 level, I will get advantage that I get to use whenever I want at one point later on in the campaign, just because. So above and beyond that, you can also donate at the $40 or $50 level and get access to some neat PDFs. So yeah, keep that in mind as an option for you. Alrighty. So
how are we doing for smashy choppy people?
We have a fighter.
Okay.
I'm pretty smashy choppy.
Yeah.
Okay.
My character
right. Yeah, because of the... Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say my character's going to have access to magic, but there's a very good chance that they're going to be the up-close, in-your-face type of magic.
Okay.
And I would say
uncomfortably close magic.
Yeah.
Almost certainly a tank. But there are some things you'll want to consider about the Scrag, particularly if you're in... Like, Zathisk is coastal, and there's a couple big rivers that run through it. But there's large portions of the area you will be landlocked, and that will cut off a lot of the abilities of the Scrag.
Sure.
Because, for example, you have to be immersed in water to use your...
like regeneration and
regeneration.
Stuff. Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the Triton too, but my ideas are
Triton
always
even more so.
exactly what Sarah or Katina doesn't like, which is like blood and eating flesh and all that fun stuff. So.
I don't care as long as you're not evil and trying to kill me.
Well,
you can be chaotic neutral.
yeah. One of the things I was thinking about was
I've played necromancers before.
So there's Titanic corruption, and I really like the idea of that, and I like the idea of like warlocks and having like a pact weapon or some sort of pact to a deity. And I was wondering in Skylands if it would be possible to be pacted to a Titan.
Yeah, there are
which I just have more and more questions if the answer is yes.
There are a few. Most of them are not particularly
the one that's catching my eye is Gaurok. It'd be the one. Yeah.
Okay, so we don't have I don't currently have a Warlock Pact that specifically ties to Gaurok. I'm not opposed to building one though, or to skinning another pack along those lines. There is a fighter subclass that might be interesting to you, and that basically they get infused with Garok's blood, and so that it makes them able to fight more effectively, but it also allows them to like bite limbs off their opponents and eat them to gain hit points and things like that.
Yeah, well, I'm all about that. So maybe what's the subclass for that?
That is the
is it
Blood Guard?
Blood Guard, that was it. Yeah.
It's Gore Guard. They are in.
That was it.
Are they out yet?
Yeah, I have access to them.
Yeah, they're in Yugman's Part
Uno?
1, maybe?
I think so, yeah.
Let's find out. Yep, they sure are.
Yeah, the Gore Guard might be what you're looking for. Ooh.
Yeah, let's... Because this is, of course, yesterday fell apart, but this is why I was like, hey, Me don't know stuff.
It's all good. That's what we're here to sort out.
Yep.
So I guess I'll be reading that because my idea, it's definitely based off of consumption in some capacity.
Right.
The other thing was I would love to have like weapons that fought for me type of thing. Like almost kind of like the celestial weapon I was using the other day.
Spiritual weapon?
Yeah. But I don't know. There's like poltergeistish almost. Like my thought was with Gaurok, and this was way before he has all those teeth, so I would emulate that by like having like knives made out of teeth essentially to like honor him and yada yada yada. So I'd just be like covered in daggers and shit or something. But that would be almost like
that'd be a way to go.
I don't know how to.
One thing you could do with that, I mean, because typically druids worship the Titans, so you could be a druid. The biggest thing to then figure out is like, what's your the place where I have concerns about that is what's going to tie you to the party, and the obvious answer is a common enemy. Druids certainly don't like Calastians either.
Sure.
But figuring out something additional, because like there's certain things, like if you went with a Gorgard, for example, generally speaking, the Gorgard is not a choice that's made. It's something that's inflicted on someone. So it could be that you were a pit fighter in, Fang's Fall and escaped, possibly with the help of another party member. And that's kind of they're kind of your tie to the group. That's an option. We'd have to come up with some explanation as to why you were in Fang's Fall, which is the other side of the continent from where Scrags usually are.
The things that I have in my mind are like Naga, Tritons, Pelagia, Oceania, stuff kind of like that. And barnacles, tridents, and teeth.
Yeah, clear
and like
more
flesh
Triton
consumption.
and Scrag.
Yeah, I would say Clearwater Triton might actually be the way to go with that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because if you were a Clearwater Triton Gorgard,
Fang's Fall makes sense.
That would make a lot of sense for Fang's Fall, because they could have just fished you out of the coast.
Yep. You got caught in a net. Oops.
Right.
Yeah, I'll have to do a lot more reading because I didn't have access to the Triton / Scrag stuff before this. So
no worries.
Now I'm formulating dumb shit. I'm like, does this work?
Formulate away.
I've built both a couple of times now for campaigns for the modules, so I can maybe help out with that.
I'm just really interested in Titanic corruption, like visible Titanic corruption, and that was one of the things I was like, I wanted to be. Because which Titan is it specifically that made the Blood Sea? Like
Kadum.
Okay, that was the other one I was looking at then. That was the other one there. I was like, okay, well, why am I titanically corrupted? Like, did I find them at the bottom of the ocean and take a bite, and now
just living in the Blood Sea would do it.
Yeah,
you don't have to follow them.
You're breathing it.
You're breathing it. Yeah.
If eating the fish out of the Blood Sea will do it.
Yeah. You don't have to follow them.
The Blood Triton with the rage aspect. I don't like losing the agency of. Oh, I got hit. I'm just big mad now. That's all I get to do is be big mad.
There are ways to counteract that. It's just something to be aware of. You've got a Bruce Banner problem. So build your character with a high
with a really high
score. Work to acquire magic items that will give you like advantage on wisdom saves and things like that. There are ways around it, but
how many combats with a Blood Sea Rage Triton? And I think once they blew their save and went into rage, and the player really wanted to, and refused to make. You were in that game, but that same character has been played by like 4 different people because I've run that campaign so many times, or that module so many times, plus the other module the same characters were in, and that was the only time I actually saw somebody blow the save. Not to say that you won't in a long-term campaign, you will, but it's not going to.
Sure.
Having said that, if the element of like I could lose my temper at any given moment and become a threat to everyone around me doesn't entice you, maybe don't play that character.
Yeah.
You
know, I mean, and Clearwater Tritons have cool stuff, and there's nothing to say that you couldn't be a Clearwater Triton and say take the Titanic Corruption Sorcerer origin.
Yeah.
Right. That's the one thing I was looking at was that because I really like the idea of like being corrupted in some way, and then the character would view it as a blessing and not corruption. Like, oh yeah, I'm closer to what I wanted to be closer to anyway. So very not socially acceptable, which seems to be the running theme of my character.
Say one of Gorak's tiny teeth didn't fall into the Southern Sea.
Oh yeah.
And you were like, I have a toy.
Yeah,
it's true. I mean, Gorak's. If you're down
the little ones, you know,
you're down near the southwestern part of the continent.
That, like, they're all mountain ranges are said to have formed from his teeth, and they were banished to the void. Which I love cosmic horror and void. I'm like, hey,
I'm convinced he's in these mountains, but
so
I mean, it's called the Gluttonous Cave. For me.
My idea is. I love playing characters that because there's very obvious like chassis, like this character is meant for this type of play style, and I love doing the opposite of that. So I'm like Scrag Spellcaster, bam!
I'm a wizard wrestler.
I love shit like that. That's so fun, and so I like the idea of the Scrag one because. Quite literally a knuckle dragger on land, with huge, long, like lanky arms. But the thing that, I love that because there's a lot of cool stuff. Like, I literally mentioned capoeira before this, and you have to have like that balance. And I have really long arms. Like, I have a normally long reach for my size, and so I associate with that really well. And the only thing that was holding me back was the only time I've seen a Scrag play before they were a sentient rock, and so that was kind of put me off. And the color scheme, I can change that up with the Titanic Corruption. I would really like purples and like yellows and things that are very like vibrant and clashing. So I think that's kind of cool with the Scrag as well because they're like very gray and muted and. I think I'm leaning towards the Scrag personally and doing like a spellcaster, warlock, Titanic Corruption Sorcerer Scrag thing. So, I mean, I can always multi-class down the road too.
That is an option. So having heard all of that, does that help you make your choice, Sarah?
I'm if he's not playing a druid, then yeah, I'm going to the. I'm building this.
The Slytherin druid?
Yeah.
Does that...
I don't got any other ideas.
Does that help you settle on your class choice, Jeremy? Okay.
Yes. Sorry, I was muted.
So you're going with the... and forgive me, what was the race's name again?
The Pseudorenjas.
Tatsuri?
They're originally Tatsuri.
Tatsuri, okay.
Yeah.
There are reasons they have new names in Gelspad.
Sure.
All right, excellent.
And what was your class?
Rogue.
You were Rogue.
And did you say you had a subclass path in mind for your rogue?
I do know.
Okay. So Chaz, you're pretty well covered and basically have everything you need to get that started, except for me to build the race and beyond, right?
I think Jeremy built the race. It's there.
I did, yeah.
Did you? Oh, sweet. Okay, cool. So you two can start on your characters right away. Had you... does that help you make your choice, friend? Are you going to go with the halfling?
I'm leaning in that direction. The one thing I'm realizing is, do we have a healer? Druid, yeah, okay. All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Healing.
I'll do that little healer thing that druids can get, although, I'm going to be all like, try this potion; it'll help. I need
He
you to
sounds
test
so
it
much
for
like
me.
Clathrus. It's crazy.
I don't know who this is though.
His first character.
Yeah.
The apothecaries are all about making the ultimate potion or poison.
Yeah, my character was, hey, I want alcohol. My whole quest is to find the best brew. And I would just put whatever I could find into a barrel and be like, drink this.
Not alcohol. Definitely not alcohol.
Yeah, but it reminds me very much so of my very first D&D character that I ever made, Clathrus.
Oh my.
So.
He was like a spore druid.
Yep.
This is
Also
actually created by Gulthaga. The Gulthaga's brood. So the Forge Crawlers.
Yeah.
Offshoot.
I like that.
Yeah, I like the idea of a halfling stalker.
I want to play a Stricken though. Someday I want to play a Stricken.
Well, let's do that then, and then
pieces falling off me.
Alien, did you get a chance to get through those, or are you still sort of taking notes on them, or do you have questions?
I think I've got an idea for what I want. I'm going to play, I guess, a brilliant tiefling.
Okay.
And I'm thinking of going with a ranger again and being a horizon walker.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Ooh, which gives us another fighter type too.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Horizon walker.
I love Horizon Walker. It's so fun.
I've never played one. Torque was my first ranger, and that was pretty fun. So I want to play with another archetype.
Cool. Yeah.
Hey, Travis, are there any other rogue archetypes in any of the Yugman's books off the top of your head?
Yeah, a ton of. There's 5 of them.
More than anything.
I will look those up as well. I want to try and go a completely different direction from the Stalker, so I'm thinking Mastermind. But if one of the other ones makes sense, then I will go that direction.
Well, if you look at in Yugman's Part 2, there's the Bloodsea Pirate and the Master of the Scaled. Master of the Scaled might actually be pretty dope.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that works.
The scaled are
scales, so yay.
No, you don't get. Oh, you have scales. Yeah. Master of the Scales, though, would be like, it's the ultimate rogue.
Fun.
What do you call it?
Yeah.
They're arcane trickster.
Thief's thief.
Thieves' Thief. Yeah. I want to say Rogue Clan. That's not right. Rogue.
Thieves Guild?
Guild. It's the ultimate Thieves Guild. Yeah, the Scaled. They're everywhere, man. They're almost as pervasive as the Cult of the Ancients. I might end up going this.
It's either going to be Mastermind or this.
Okay. And then there's also, the other ones would be like the Envoy. They haven't dropped yet.
I want a 3/5 assassin for stage class, a spellcasting assassin for Scarred Lands. If I can make it myself, which I actually have.
There's there's the what am I thinking of?
Arcane Trickster.
No. It's in Yugman's one. Bring it up real quick. I don't think it's a rogue archetype though.
Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Well, now I'm grabbing myself.
I'm gonna have to. I've already built one. So, but at some point I will put it on the vault at minimum.
Travis, in Zathisk, what regional background do you think fits best there?
If you're from Zathisk specifically,
or like the country, not the
it would depend on what part. So you could probably pull off either. There's the Warlock Pact of the Serpent. There's the Venom Domain Cleric. Those are the things that are kind of assassiny. So if there's coastal and then there's woodland. So in terms of if you wanted to go with the split backgrounds, you've got
Sarah, what cities are in there? off the top of your head?
Quelsk.
It could be from Quelsk, yeah.
And Quelsk is the capital. Urban
resident.
Starts with a D.
Urban would be Quelsk. There's the Beachcomber. And there's the Desert Nomad if you're on the western side. And then if you're on
like off the top of your head, sorry, name a city in this.
And then
Quelsk. Possibly Els, but we don't know.
Right?
I don't think Els is in. Els is on the other side of the river. I swear Els has got to be
from the north.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'd already mentioned, Jeremy, that we spent like the last 2 Lore You Knows on Calastia and Elzar, and between the two of them covered.
So, according to the map, we have Quelsk, which is coastal near the opening of the Broadreach River. We have Shalur, which is down on the coast towards the edge of Anquila. Pajan, which is a border city with Anquila. And Zamon, which is on the shore of Lake Zoth.
Ooh.
So, Chaz, if we're from the same place, which makes sense,
we
could actually end up taking different backgrounds, though, because, like, one of us could take Beachcomber, and the other could take Urban Resident for, like, from the coastal city.
Right.
So we don't need to take the same thing.
Right. And just for clarification,
what you want.
Any of the backgrounds that are standard D&D can work as well if you don't want to do a split background.
Okay.
If you do want to do a split background, especially if you're looking at Master of the Scaled as like your class, like direction,
right?
You could start with the Scaled Graduate background, and that gives you access to basically you are a full member of the Scaled and know locations of the training academies, the name of the Scale Lord under whom you serve, and those who operate in cities near your base of operations. In addition, you know the signs that mark an establishment as a Scaled headquarters, and when you arrive in a new city, you can always locate the local Scaled branch and call upon them for help, accommodations, or work.
Nice.
So that might be a good...
Like we were leaning towards taking... Both of us were going to take Adopted.
Okay.
But that also makes sense. So we'll figure it out.
Well, and there's no reason you couldn't both be Adopted, but he takes Adopted as his background and you take Scaled Graduate because it's possible that your adoptive parent... Here's just an idea. This is not me making a dictate. This is just a suggestion. It's quite possible that maybe your adoptive parent or one of your adoptive parents was in the Scaled, and one of you was the favored kid who followed in Dad's footsteps, and the other one was like, "No, I'm going to Wizard College."
Yeah, I can see that.
And
like,
you're like,
screw it.
And then you show up and you're like,
college, you mean sword magic. And by sword magic, you mean smashing things with a sword.
Right.
Good at it.
And then Jeremy, your character, shows up and is like, "Listen, Dad's been gone on a hunting trip for a couple of days, and we haven't heard from him."
Oh, God.
And then Shaz's girlfriend gets set on fire on a ceiling.
As one does.
That's one.
Love it. That's what one of us gets for going off to university.
Maybe your character's name has to be Crowley.
No.
Just playing the tiefling. It's close enough, right?
And you absolutely could, Chaz. Oh, you should take one of the war colleges as your background, Chaz.
Oh yeah.
Oh, nice.
And the war colleges of Darakeen.
That would be a Slytherin in Castiel.
So let me see. I don't know
By
that
the way,
any
Travis,
Yeah.
I've like basically 100% made my choice.
Okay.
On what my character's doing. Chaz messaged me, and as I was looking at some stuff, I was like, "That's what I'm doing." And I sent him, and he's like, "Yes." And I'm like, "Okay, that's all I need." so I figured it out. So when you get to me, I'm ready.
Beautiful. Good to know. So yeah, and I think those war college backgrounds are not out yet, but I can build one into D&D Beyond for you. Particularly, do you know like what direction you would lean in towards of like what sort of fighting you'd want to be doing? Because some of the war colleges actually do give you access to magic if you wind up with a spell list.
You broke up a little bit there. What was that?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. If your character winds up with a spell list and you have some of those war college backgrounds,
right,
you wind up with a spell with like a bonus to your spell list based on the war college.
Gotcha. I think I'm gonna stay away from spells. Like if there's any magical things that it will be from the Ghost Legionnaire.
Okay.
But like mostly just slashy, dodgy.
All right. I can put some of those together. Otherwise, in the interim, you could also go with you just go with like a soldier or a militia,
right?
As well. Okay. So, in terms of backgrounds, Sarah, what did you have in mind?
I'm still looking. I'm trying to find something associated with an alchemist. So get back to me. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm reading the stuff from Yugman's and none of it's appealing. But I'm double checking right now.
How about you, Ailey? Any background ideas?
I am also still looking at backgrounds.
Okay.
I'm thinking going Jorday though, in terms of Druid Circle, just because I want a tree.
Okay. And Trick, you said you had an idea. What's this? Tell me of this idea that you have.
The character that I want to play as is definitely a sorcerer with Titanic corruption. And that corruption will be attached to forget how to pronounce his name. I typed it somewhere. Garak.
Gorak is how we say it.
And the reason for that was the corruption. I could do some cool stuff with that because the teeth. So I could be like growing like teeth and shit out of me to represent Garak for the visible like corruption and like have like weird like purple blood or something.
I think of it
just
as
so it's
Gorak because it's Gorak.
Well, in the thing it said GOW like Gal.
Oh, like Gal.
So
these giant eyes.
The big thing is I wanted to be some sort of like cannibal like flesh eater. That was like the big thing that I was leading towards because I didn't really get to mess with that feat with Bifrunes. So there was a feat for Bifrunes that I had taken where you were a flesh eater and eating any flesh would return your HP based on the creature's intelligence. And then there's some gifts for the sorcerer, one of them being obscene appetite for Garak and Kadim. You're immune to disease from anything you eat or drink, and you're also to being poisoned by anything you ingest. You grow fangs and gain a bite attack that acts as a finesse weapon, which would combo with the feat. So I'm super into the sorcerer or Titanic corruption.
Okay.
Sorcerer right now. Like that's 100% where I want to go as a scrag. Because scrag sorcerer. Alliteration. That means it's good.
Right on.
Especially in the Scarred Lands.
Yes.
Scrag
sorcerer, Scarred Lands. Yeah.
One thing you might want to look at, it's in Yugman's 4, which is out this Wednesday. Sarah, is Cult of the Forge.
Oh. There we go.
And so
sounds promising.
Cult of the Forge, their main, I guess, identifying factor is that they worship the forge itself as opposed to whoever's operating it. Like the forge is more important than the hand pulling it.
So Corian's groovy?
Right, Corian's fine, whatever.
Supposed to be true neutral?
I mean, Corian's fine, whatever. It doesn't matter. Is their whole perspective. Like, it doesn't matter.
Corian, I don't give a shit. Yeah.
Right. What matters is the power that the forge has.
I'll take a look. I'm thinking more apothecary than because of wisdom versus intelligence.
Right, but this gives you access to... you get... there's Mason's tools, Smith's tools, or Tinker's tools. performance, religion, or sleight of hand, and you get alchemist, fire, journals with drawings. It is a little bit more, I guess, physical.
I'll take a look when it comes out. I would have picked it up day of anyway. So
I'm trying to think of what else.
Added my excuses.
There was one that I swore might be a little bit more alchemy based.
Looking forward to it.
Scrolling through. I just saw him. They all bleed together into one big long background in my head.
I'm sure.
And there's obviously also the arcane societies that are in the first book, but they're in part 3.
Part 3.
Is it part 2? Yeah, maybe.
Yes. No. I was looking at the wrong. My files are in the wrong order. The Penumbra Pentagram Fault. For other people, not me.
Yeah, I was just answering in chat. Yugman's Guide 1 through 3 are up on Drive Through RPG right now, and Yugman's Guide Part 4 will be out on Wednesday.
Very exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. It's Skylands Week. We drop a new one. A new Skylands book comes out the last Wednesday of every month. Yugman's and Vigil Watch are rotating. This month is Yugman's, so Part 4 will be out Wednesday. Go ahead and throw that link in the chat. Had you looked at the backgrounds at all there, Trick?
No, mainly because I'm still building my character. And you're talking about on D&D Beyond, the backgrounds and stuff?
Yeah, but there's also the ones that are in the book. So the way the Skylands specific backgrounds work, you can either take a standard D&D background, which is just all built, straight from D&D. The Skylands backgrounds are divided, so you have a background that relates to where you are physically from, like the environment you grew up in. And then
my big thing is I didn't want to be part of the caste system for Scrag, so I almost wanted to be like I was stolen or captured.
There's an adopted background.
You could be adopted with us.
Yeah, we can all be. That's how we know each other,
right?
I was actually thinking adopted too.
Let's go.
Because I was like,
orphans, got it.
Yeah, because I was like, what the hell would a Slytherin be doing this? But I also have my instinctive. But this is my people's thing, and maybe I researched it I don't know, Worf did or something I have not.
But it would be kind of cute if we all took the adopted background.
We're all adopted.
Just like a group of people that was raised by some adventurer or something.
We
maybe
grew up in an orphanarium
by Yugman. There we go.
Together.
I was leading Urchin, but I don't have the Skylands backgrounds.
They're in the.
You have the core book, right?
What? That's a great question.
Skylands Player's Guide? You don't have it? I thought
I'm a nerd and have every book. So
I'm almost positive you have a copy of the Skylands Player's Guide.
You must have the PDF.
It's possible I did before my hard drive crashed.
If you log into Drive Through RPG and go into your library, you should be able to download it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But just
Travis.
Yes, go ahead.
Where do I go in the halfling list for Skylands halfling?
Skylands halfling is a Lightfoot halfling.
Lightfoot, got it.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
One change.
Next lucky brave.
You get a freaking extra proficiency bonus, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think you get some weapons that the regular one doesn't get.
Yep.
but that you have to add the you have to add all the proficiencies that you get manually anyway. There's no way to add it in the D&D Beyond Builder.
Yeah.
Right.
So what would be most useful to me to help everyone make sure that they can actually construct their characters would be just a list of like what race you're playing, the subclass you have in mind, and the backgrounds that you wanted to choose, because I can add all those in for you. The backgrounds, you can actually also go in to the builder as well and custom build a background, which is what I would do anyway. So you'll just have to add your features manually. It's not a big deal, though.
Right.
It's pretty easy to do, but if you need me to walk you through that process, I can do so. Is there anything in any of the Yugmans that I think you should read up on for Sharlung Narf? Yeah, all of them. You should read up Vigil Watch, too. There's nothing like that leaps out at me at the moment, but my mind is totally in a different game right now. I'll think on that question and email you. Yeah, so let's talk history a little bit. Let's talk about who you are as people and how you know one another.
I figured out, I think, my background, by the way.
What's that?
I think ex-slave would actually be good. Better than... because it fits the area that you wanted to be. It would make sense if I was, like, scooped up as a little, I guess, I don't know, are Scrag born from eggs? How is a Scrag made, Papa Travis?
You are a mammalian species. So.
It's Scrag lost an arm, and a new Scrag grew up from the other.
Oh, is that how it works? I just left it there, and one day I was there. That could be a funny way on how I got my Titanic corruption.
Oh, sure.
No, I'm making it up.
But yeah, I figured ex-slave would be good, and that would kind of fit like how I would view like Aristocracy and the Classians in general.
Sure.
And that would explain why I wouldn't have any like of the caste system. I really wouldn't know much of myself, so I'd be kind of interested in that as a character of like, what the hell am I?
Yeah, it's entirely possible you got scooped up by like a pirate captain in your youth, and he took you to Zathisk and sold you, or sold you in Reiko.
The reason that I was really thinking about it is that the big thing would be is you'd have to make do with what you had. Like, I might be stuck in an affluent like court of some like jackass who thinks they're better than everybody else, which seems very classy, and you know, maybe they were people that didn't agree with my captor or owner or however you want to describe it, would kill people who didn't necessarily do what worked. So in order to eat, because you know, I wasn't able to eat very, very well, I would eat what was left of the people that they killed, which is very thematic for the character I have in mind.
Okay.
So that was kind of where I wanted to go with my background, if that works for you.
Okay. Yeah, that's totally fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Like, why do you always have to be a cannibal?
I mean, yeah.
It is actually one of my squicks, but I'm glad I didn't call it out as a no-go now.
I mean, if it squicks you out too much, we can.
It's fine as long as it isn't graphically described. I'm fine.
Oh yeah, I'm not going to be like,
don't like eat somebody who's still alive.
Yeah,
no, like that.
No,
please.
yeah, no. I'm not like, I mean, there's definitely going to be biting involved in combat.
Yeah,
but.
yeah. Well, I do too. I've got a bite attack, but I'm not eating them.
Yeah.
Stop.
I'm not going to go into detail of crunching bones or gristle or any shit like that. For sure.
I can't watch Hannibal.
See, that's like one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, I can't. It squicks me out like mega bad. So, but that's like, you know, off-screen stuff. It's not.
Yeah. So a big portion of my tattoo is literally corpses. So, like half emboweled, disemboweled, body parts missing and shit. So yeah, it doesn't skeeve me out, but
Clearly. I prefer skulls.
Yeah.
Giant fan of skulls, but they gotta be cleaned.
No.
Clean,
I literally have like a row of intestines on my stomach right now. But yeah, I'll be conscious of that for you for sure, because that was always the thing. I was like, what is it about Bifroons that really, like, I've always wondered, but you've never personally like said. When I was like, oh yeah, they're gonna do this, and you're like, ew, and I didn't know if it was just like, oh, that's kind of gross, or if that was actually something that gave you the heebie-jeebies.
I get it. I wouldn't call it it's not a, we call it it's just a squick. It's not
a trigger. It's just
a trigger. It's just a squick. It's just a squick.
Yeah, it's just gross.
It's just gross. Yeah.
Your yum is my yuck.
Those were the episodes of Supernatural I would look away from the screen during. I think there was only like 2, but it's like, oh, there's cannibals. Nope.
And I'll do my best to refrain from overly graphic explanations.
Yeah, as long as the details aren't detailed, I'm fine.
But I want those details.
I'll just take my headphones off when that happens.
I need to know.
Take my headphones off.
Yeah. I do love the idea, though, of, well, I read books, of course, because there was nothing else to do, and whatever fell down, I ate, because one must maintain one's physique. And so
I'm like 8 feet tall.
Right.
Yeah.
But I was definitely like look at how exotic this thing is to the person.
Should I just play a brown gorger then?
That'd be oh my god. Oh, that's terrifying.
A what gorger?
Brown
Slytherin. It's a Slytherin that are cannibals.
Yeah, that was almost one of the things I had to play.
Afflicted
by Gorak.
You give me a chance to be a cannibal and eat shit.
You could have finished that.
There is a Slytherin finished that. But they don't have a wisdom bonus, so that's why I wasn't.
Yeah.
The feat that Bifroons had that he never got to use was Flesh Eater. I've been waiting and waiting to use Flesh Eater. That's so to tie it in, because you guys probably didn't know about Bifroons. That was why that was why his brain defaulted to taking the flesh from Belsameth and eating it. It was like, oh hey, there'll be like spiritual residue, so I don't have to consume souls to be a lich, but I could just eat part of their flesh. It's kind of the same, but I'm not fucking with a soul, so it's a loophole.
They're done with something they're done with, not something they need to continue.
Yeah, exactly. It's just another tool
or whatever.
It's like
very, very Bifroons, but yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the big thing I wanted to do with this character, and I love oceanic, like merfolk type everything. So if I can slap those two together, you better believe I'm doing it.
Let's see. Okay, and whilst all that is happening, Ailey, did you get a chance to look at those Skylands backgrounds?
I'm reading through them.
Excellent. I just want to make sure that you got them.
Yeah.
All right, so Jeremy and Chaz, there's nothing you need me to add to D&D Beyond or explain to you how to add to D&D Beyond, correct?
So the only issue I'm having is because Skylands has a split background.
Go to, when you go into your background, if you go to custom, I just need to bring up the builder so that I'm not talking out of my tailpipe entirely.
You choose custom and then configure.
You can configure it. So you can choose, you're going to have more choices than you should have. You know what I mean? Like in your drop downs, but you can pick what is appropriate.
But also you have, so like unfortunately it doesn't have it, like Thieves Tools isn't on here. So I'm just adding them in the description.
You would add, the Thieves Tools would be, should be under the Artisans Tools. Should be one of your Artisans Tools choices. But that's fine too. If they're not, you can just do it as a...
Yeah, and the Choose Tool drop down, it doesn't actually separate between Artisans and the non...
Right, so you should be able to pull Thieves Tools out of there.
It says Smith's 3 Dragon Anti-Set, Tinker's Tools, Vehicle Land. So it should be right there. No Thieves Tools. which I thought was weird because there's other like criminal allows you to take, and then the feature, like for features, it doesn't.
What I would do is paste the text of your feature in your description, and then just pick a feature that you won't actually use. Like my feature soldier, whatever, because you get the drop down for those. Because you get a different feature for each of your split backgrounds. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Seriously, Trick, you listen to my dulcet tones when you're falling asleep.
Yeah, I watch all kinds of dumb shit when I fall asleep. The lady friend hates it because I have the phone on 24/7. It's the only way I can sleep. It's the only way my brain turns off if it could focus on something else.
Jeremy Trick listens to The Lawyer You Know. I'm like, oh God.
Yeah,
people in this room actually watch our show.
Yep.
Like, oh no, people watch our show. No. No, I'm extremely super happy. But, yeah. Well, the latest one's all about Shelzer, so.
It is.
It is.
It's actually.
Fran was just on the last one, weren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Fran, because I didn't have the time to do the research.
You didn't have the time to do all the reading, so.
Because there's a lot.
Well, for Shelzer,
yeah. On the bright side, it let me add a shit ton of information to the Scarred Lands wiki. Yeah. So the history of Shelzer up to.
We spent like an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes just talking chapter 2.
Like, it's huge.
It's not like we've read it or anything out loud or anything. We just summarized chapter 2 of that book. It's like
there's a lot in there.
Shelzer, and then the Asathi is going to be the big one because their kingdom is even older. And Calasti was like there was a bunch of emperors. It's only a couple hundred years old. It was easy. Like, this one was gay. That one was fun. Yeah, I guess I'm going with adopted and one of these location backgrounds. Forest. Forester? Is that make sense? There isn't really one.
Yeah, tunnel dweller. I mean, that's kind of the standard Slytherin.
I could have been that as a kid, and then the adopted is like more recent.
I mean,
but yeah, I could do
either one, or I mean, if you're going with the idea that you were also adopted by the same family or group as the other as Chaz and Jeremy, then I would go with either urban resident or beachcomber or forester.
Okay. I'm going with druid, so that's why I'm thinking forester, because I do want to eventually get to like I am having these memories of a previous life that I don't understand. Oh look, now I can change into a I don't know, Dareth. Not to say I've ever run an incarnate who could change into a Dareth. Fran.
Yeah.
So I thought that was the only way you could play one. So, yeah, okay. I'm going with that then. Otherwise, it's going to be too. It's going to get too off of my intentional. Where I want to go with this.
Jeremy, are you okay with being green because of the teal? Because
like my skin tone?
Choose the ancestor breath weapon resistance.
Oh, all right. Yes.
Oh, you're gonna be gold dragons?
Green. I have to be teal. I just like the teal.
It's not easy being green.
So true.
Got this new mini of this lavender dragon with butterfly wings.
Ooh.
And it's really weird. It's from some WotC thing that came out a while ago. But it's meant to be tiny, but the mini's actually large because of because of shape change reasons, because of magic reasons. So it's like, I was like, I have a lavender butterfly winged large dragon. I'm never going to use this, except I have to find a reason to use this now. I don't know how, but I will.
That's important.
It's like, it's just too cool looking. From, I don't know, one of those. I don't pay any attention to the WotC settings anymore. Being quiet, I feel like we have to entertain our.
I mean, you know, everybody's working. So yeah, short story long. If there are things that you're unable to get into D&D Beyond, let me know what those things are, and I can add them. You're more than welcome to add in your own race as a homebrew if you know how to use homebrew in D&D Beyond. If you don't, I'm happy to do it for you.
Yeah, I'm going to need all of mine done because I don't know how to do any of that shit.
Yeah, that's fine.
I've never tried, but I can look at it.
I just don't want to do it and then have other people not have access to it too, so...
Well, we're all in the shared campaign, so like you should all be able to access anything that anybody else in this campaign can access.
Yeah.
Which is how I'm assuming how Jeremy and Chaz are able to access the same race, right? Or are you using
as long as you are in the same campaign together, you can see each other's homebrews.
What's our adopted race? Dogs? Okay.
Dogs.
Pandering to the furries again.
There are no dog people in Skarn, are there? Like, well, hyenas, kind of.
I would assume probably human if you're in Zatheisk, right? Other option might be halfling.
Yep.
Halfling?
I mean, I my vote is halfling. I'm not like super strong on it, but I can see us like we're hi mom and dad. I'm like little tiny halfling.
You two are literally brothers, though. I'm just some like weird.
If we're adopted,
weirdo they picked up.
Then we're all family.
Travis, I sent you a text document with this stuff.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
It was just the one that I was keeping my notes on, but it should have just about everything that was on there that you should need.
So are we going with we all grew up together, or some okay?
Some of us are. Okay. Some of you're already a half, so you could be the next door neighbor. You know.
Yeah, I'm just a show pony slave that one day figured out that her titanic corruption could help them escape the jackass that had me enslaved.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how that would tie in with you guys. Maybe I just was like, please, anybody be friends with me. I don't even know.
You can reach all the tall things.
Yeah. So if there's a halfling, that's.
I'm only
I was like, here, and I just picked you up and was like, put you up in the.
All compared to them, but I'm still only like 5'2", so.
Yeah, I mean, do
the
you
halfling's
all
cat was stuck in a tree? Do
you like all literally want to be like the sort of this brood that was gathered by perhaps like a retired halfling stalker who is now
sure.
I'm fine with that.
I think it's neat. That's really
Found a new kid out in the barn. Time to build a new bed.
And Fred's playing the only biological child.
I don't even know about that. I mean, potential biological child, yeah, but I have a feeling it's more like, kid, you can't just keep running like this. Come in here, get some food, get some fresh clothing. Look at your fucking feet.
Right.
You've got to lie down for a couple of days, all right? Fine.
So since we're going to steer into this D&D trope, we have to come up with some sort of tragic horror story as to what happened to all of your parents, obviously.
What?
My parents were redeemed, left the I can't even pronounce that one. Soporatra Swamp, headed west and were killed on maybe the Blood Steps or something.
Okay.
And I was found by like randos, maybe Calastian soldiers or something, and they were like, "Ooh, what are we gonna do with this? It's a baby rat." And then like somebody, some halfling was like, "Give me that! That's a sentient baby rat."
And how old were you when you were found?
I don't know. I think it depended on everybody else, but yeah.
I like the idea that my character is one of the later ones to have shown up, and everybody else is like, "Don't you be mean to Dad. Dad loves you."
I'm just trying to figure out why I would be a druid. You know, it's like a call. Well, maybe it's the calling. It's the calling.
Yeah,
right.
As an incarnate, you have no flipping choice. Like,
Yeah,
I just started having dreams. And like,
you felt compelled.
Yeah.
You wake up one day and Denev is like, "Grow a plant."
I guess I'm doing this now.
No, and to that end, you don't all have to have been children, right? So, like, obviously, so maybe you were found as a baby. You're the Slytherin. Maybe the friend's halfling was, like, old enough to be out and about, kind of running around as an urchin kind of thing.
11 or 12, I think.
Yeah, but
did something and ran away, and this was the place where somebody was finally like, "Stop, sit."
Right. So Chaz,
you don't know me. I don't have to know you. Sit.
Yes.
That's fair. Chaz, Jeremy, how about you?
I think pretty young.
I was thinking like maybe older than the rest, generally speaking. Like we've been, because like if I'm a scaled graduate,
true,
then I've had some of this training, so like we could say late teens, early 20s, and we're helping out with the kids.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't necessarily mean though that like you weren't.
Yeah, like we could have been like adopted young and then like went off and then came back.
Yeah.
Right.
And every time you come back, you're like, "Another one, Dad?"
Right? Like, I'm just going to start bringing beds when I come back because, like, no.
He's like a little halfling.
Maybe we bring them.
He's like a little halfling DJ Khaled.
Right?
Yeah.
We're like, oh, sorry, we killed this group of Slytherins, so here's their child.
There's this whole... I got to share this with you guys. I saw this trope on Tumblr about this idea that halflings run around and adopting... I've got to show this to you guys later. But I saw this whole trope on Tumblr about halflings adopting everyone and the halflings adopting orcs and various races. So this is such that wonderful, like, that's not even a trope yet, but I guess it is because I saw it on there. But I'll go find that post and share it with everybody. Nice. But yeah, this is that. This is exactly that.
Your halfling
These are my children. Yes, they're all very tall. 1's 7 feet.
Your halfling father's name is Khaled, like DJ Khaled, because he's always like, "Another one." So, how about you, Ailey? When was your character? Was your character a child, an adult? Were they? When they were
I'm leaning towards child. Yes.
Okay.
I kind of. So, is it okay for my character to have spent her early childhood in her parental plane, and then she was kind of just abandoned one day and just kind of poofed on Skarn, just like crying, like, "Where the fuck am I?"
Right. No, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, that's absolutely fine.
I'm gonna go with that then. So I'm thinking around like 5-ish.
Okay. Yeah, like maybe you wandered off and fell through a planar portal of some sort, or got somehow affected with some sort of energy, or some mysterious thing happened, and you poofed into the woods.
So with that, my geographical background, do I take urban because I just kind of popped up and was adopted, or do I take something based off of where I lived before?
It would be like where you sort of learned your life skills, so chances are good that would probably be, you could either be, it would be either urban or again, like if you wanted to do forest or, kind of where did you spend most of your time with? I mean, I'm assuming that this father figure probably wasn't necessarily retired from adventuring when he first started acquiring children.
Yeah.
So he might have drug you around a little bit. So nomad might even be like there's like a nomadic one, I think, like a desert nomad.
I'm trying to figure out how to fit marsh dweller in here so I can get the medicine proficiency. But I don't know if
if he was adventuring in and around marshes for a while. So Daddy's going to put you in this tree. Now remember, whatever you hear, don't come down unless Daddy says it's okay. All right?
I took the forester background.
Yeah, you're sitting there with 14 dead, anacondas, and he's like, "What did Daddy say?"
I'll allow it. Yeah, take the marsh dweller. That's perfect.
Sweet.
Now you're making me rethink that I go marsh instead of because my parents were from the marshes. Let me look at marsh dweller.
So yeah, I mean, would it be more, I guess, germane to you, Chaz and Jeremy, if you were like raised, went to your respective trainings, right? Went and joined your respective groups. Your dad's probably not too pleased with you being in the Scaled. If he knows, I
told him.
Right, if he knows, yeah.
I just tell him I go to work. I go down to the bookstore down the street. That's my job. Right. I've paid that person off to tell them that, yes, I absolutely work there.
That's fair. So does that seem about fair to you then? And then you sort of came back. And your lifespan is basically human, right?
They live about 200 years.
200, yeah.
Okay. So you might be halflings don't live much longer than humans, though, right?
No.
I don't think so. So
what's our current oldest age?
I don't think anyone has established their age yet.
Okay.
The only one who lives particularly long out of all of you, I think, is maybe the Scrag.
They're hard to kill.
Halflings can live well into their second century.
Nice.
So like 150, 160.
Oh, wow. They were like humans.
What do you think she has, like 20s?
I figure that's where we all are.
I'm going to be 2 years older than you.
And you are going to be the one like manipulating me by like encouraging me to be a wizard. So you can
no idea what you're talking about. Okay, I'm going to be 27, so it makes you 25.
Huh?
Done.
And so, Ailey, do you have an age in mind?
I'll be 23.
Okay. And Trick, do you have an age in mind?
I was probably taken before I matured, so before age 10, but I wouldn't have escaped till after I matured, and that's when I got like the Titanic corruption fully formed or what have you. So I'm older than 10. Because I don't know if my character would exactly know their own age.
That's fair.
Because they were stolen away, and they don't obviously get their birthday celebrated. They were just a show pony. So I'm older than 10, younger than 200.
As far as you know.
I'd assume I'd be on a little bit younger side because I would have busted out of the awful living conditions as soon as I could have when I was able to overpower my captor or what have you. Are
you a relatively recent addition to the family then?
Yeah, I would definitely say I'd be the newest, and they'd notice me and they're like, what the fuck is that thing? And I didn't immediately try to eat anybody, so they're like, all right.
You can reach all the things on the shelves. Yes.
Yeah. Fine.
All right. So I guess then I think we have enough information to make us dangerous. I do want to make one last plea to anyone who wants to help you out that we are raising money for Rain. Yes. A $5 donation gets player of your choice an extra hit point when they finish their character. A $15 donation gets everyone an extra hit point. and a $25 donation gets me advantage whenever I want to.
Can I grandfather in my advantage from the last game that I didn't use into this game?
I'll let you have a hit point. There you go. You can have a +1 hit point.
Wow! Because I'm a Scrag and I definitely need more hit points.
The other thing, so how do you feel about the title, a family? What do you think? Like a family affair for the title for our stream? From this?
Sure. That works.
Yep.
Excellent. Skylands, a family affair. That's what we're going to be called from now. Yeah, just send me the information that you have for your characters and that you need me to add. We'll get those built up. If we have anything we need to finish next week, we will, and then we'll dive into play and sort of pick things up. Feel free to communicate with each other in the meantime to figure out, whatever sort of history stuff you want to figure out. And I'm sure I'll pitch a couple of ideas in the group chat. And I think that's probably it, unless anyone has any other questions, comments, complaints, or concerns before we peace out and do our outros. Anything? Okay, rock and roll. Sweet. Well, in that case then, let's go ahead and say our goodbyes and move along with our day here. So first up, let's start with Trick. Go ahead and tell us who you are, what you do, pronouns, and where we can find you, please.
I'm Trick, or the Hair Trick, because cosmic horror and puns are hilarious. I've been a level designer for 15 odd years for Relic, THQ before their bankruptcy, Sega as part of a total conversion mod for Doom 3 called Edge of Chaos. I've done a bunch of other level design work. I'm currently, as the patch came early, working on a level design do's and don'ts and goods and bads about Tarkov, as their patch hit 5 days earlier. And they just did a huge map expansion on one of their first maps that they've ever done. So it'll be interesting to see and talk about visual framing and clarity and how a FPS level design meets an MMO, because that's ultimately their goal. And also with roguelike elements. And I really just want to go through and not only show all the level design choices that are awful and allow me to get places that I shouldn't be, but things that are good that also mitigate overpowering playstyles and things of that nature. So if you're interested in level design in any capacity, come and bug me while I'm streaming. I'm always happy to talk about it.
Sweet. Next up, we have Fran. Please give us all of your pertinent details.
Hi, my name's Fran Stewart, she, her. I'm going to be playing to be named halfling, to be gendered. I'm a writer, I'm an editor, I'm a general malingerer. You can find my writing and malingering on DriveThru and Amazon. I also co-malinger with my wife on a fairly regular basis, and I love making new friends. Look me up on Twitter at Ronald Valor or anywhere else as Fran or Francis Stewart.
Beautiful. And Jeremy, give us your pertinence, please.
You're muted. Oh, you got the puppy barking.
He's like, yep, sure am. If you're in the midst of puppy barking, let's skip Jeremy and come back to him, and we'll do Ailey. Ailey, please give us your pertinence.
Hello, I'm Ailey, she, her, and I'll be playing Millie, the tiefling. And, yep, I'm a fetish model. You can find me on Twitter at Kitty Curiosity, spelled like that. And I'm also part of an X-rated D&D group called Roll for Seduction. You can find us on Twitter at Roll Seduction or online at rollforseduction.com. But only if you're a legal adult.
Yes, grown folks only, please. Next up, we've got Sarah. Give us your pertinence, please.
Hi, I'm Sarah Stewart. Fran covered a lot of it already. Co-author of Vigilance for Shadows and Dreams Book 1. Available on DriveThru, RPG and Drive-Thru Fiction, as well as multiple other titles on Drive-Thru RPG under the Skylands setting. And on Fridays, you can find me with Jeremy talking about Skylands, Lord, and all the other wonderful stuff with you. I am playing a Slytherin druid named TBD. The rest TBD. Slytherin, i.e. rat folk, not Harry Potter snake house thing.
Different spelling.
Different spelling.
And then Chaz, give us your pertinence, please.
Hi, so I'm Chaz, he, him, and I study video games and music and storytelling and how they all work together to have fun times. And I will be playing a Suterenia fighter.
Wonderful. Named what?
We'll figure that one out.
Yeah. The hardest part.
I love it. And Jeremy, now that you have returned.
Yay. I am Jeremy Hochhalter. I'm going to be playing Zopa, the female Suterenia rogue, who I think is going to be the big sister.
Excellent. I love it.
What do? I publish RPGs on DM's Guild and Drive-Thru. I also stream Skylands stuff on Fridays with Sarah doing The Lore and then right after that with Chaz, we play the Curiosity Cache. And starting this Wednesday, Chaz is going to be DMing on my channel, which is WH Publications here on Twitch. A Final Fantasy XIV inspired RPG. So that should be fun.
Oh, really?
Playing also the big sister on that, the big smash everything.
You
sister.
will be, yeah.
Should be fun.
What's the system?
What was that?
What's the system?
5e.
Oh, okay.
Nope. All right, rock and roll. Well, I think that... Whoa, hey. I just looked and saw something strange happen here. Oh, look at that. There was a donation has fallen in our lap in the last minute.
Very last minute.
What? Well, thank you.
What's it get used for?
Was it 15? Do we all get hit points?
It was far more than 15, but because I feel nice and generous, I will go ahead and give you all one additional hit point for your character sheet.
Yay.
There was no incentive chosen, so at least not that I see.
I thought I did choose.
But it might not come through yet because Tiltify is slow. But thank you, friend, very much for supporting an amazing cause.
Really, really good cause.
It is a really good cause, that's true. And don't worry if you're watching this and, for example, may have been in the chat and aren't able to find your credit card to donate, for example. The campaign is going to be open until the end of this week. We are running a whole bunch of campaigns all week long to raise money, actually. Myself and the various other streamers of Onyx Path. So basically everything that's streaming on the channel at this point for the rest of the week is going to have some fundraiser attached to it. And you can find that information on my Tiltify link. So if you just look up Plastic Age Plays on Tiltify or, visit the Onyx Path's Twitch during any of the scheduled streams, there's a list of charities. We're raising money not only for RAIN, which is an amazing cause, but we're also raising money for the Trevor Project, for the Transgender Law Center, Bail Project, and Doctors Without Borders. I'm forgetting somebody. With the Bodano Group, and I think that's it. Yep. So all of those are amazing causes, and the whole drive behind this was, I woke up last week and looked around the world and went, wow, this is a trash fire. What can I do to try to make it better? So we all just decided to try to raise a few bucks for a few people who might need it. So thank you all so much for joining us. We will be back here on this channel and the Onyx Path channel every Monday henceforth for Scarred Lands, A Family Affair. We look forward to seeing you next Monday. And you all have yourselves an awesome week. Please, Stay safe, stay socially distant, mask up, wash your hands.
Yeah.